Hey there, welcome to DidgieTalks. In this video we're going to be talking about Tesla software release 2019.36.2.4. Now, the Tesla gods have seen fit to send me 2019.36.4.4, but I haven't done enough testing on that yet to do a video. That will be coming shortly. And I am aware that 2019.40.2.1 is out in the wild, but I haven't got that obviously, so I'll do a video on that when that arrives. So in this video we're going to focus on 36.2.4, and in my last video I introduced a forum buddy of mine, Enginerd. Now Enginerd takes a much more scientific approach to how he records the results of the actions within a particular software release. So for this particular release he recorded 154 actions and the results, and therefore it's not an insignificant amount. And also with his charts and graphs, he shows how things have performed over the year, essentially. And I'll put those graphs and charts on the screen, so as I'm talking through what my own findings are and what his findings are, you can compare them against the charts. So let me start by saying, for just normal performance for autopilot, where it's holding lane, it's speeding up and slowing down, but basically advanced cruise control, AP is still by far, in my opinion, the best technology on the road today. And in the conditions where it's not having to do a great deal, just those things, for me it takes a real load off the driving and enables me to focus on what's going on around me, and I know that the car is keeping me in lane, keeping me safe, and so on. So where the things that we see happening really start to creep in is when you start to introduce things like lane change, on and off ramp. And in this video, we're really going to talk about what we're seeing in terms of the results around those particular actions. So starting with on-ramp. So this is where you engage autopilot, where you're on the on-ramp, where you haven't yet met the dual carriageway or the motorway, and you want autopilot to take control of how you enter into that environment. So for me, this has been a little bit inconsistent. So in some cases, it will not indicate at all. It will drive to the very end of the on-ramp where the lines start to merge to the dual carriageway or motorway. And at that point, it will merge you in without indicating. In those cases, I've also seen it go beyond the driving lane into the next overtaking lane and then snap you back in. So it's obviously an example where it hasn't necessarily recorded that it's going to be indicating you into a dual carriageway or motorway, and in that situation it doesn't perform particularly well, and in some cases I even have to take over. Now in the cases where it does recognize what it's got to do and it indicates and merges you into the lane, I think it's performed really quite well. I have some examples on some previous videos where it's even merged me in between two lorries, where it's matched the speed of those lorries, merged me in between them, and done a really good job of it. However, it is inconsistent. If anything, we're seeing a decline in some of the performance around how it does that stuff, and the graphs and charts will show that, and I'll come back to that. But for on-ramp, it is a little inconsistent. So moving to off-ramp. So for me, there's a really consistent part of this function. What it will do is it will warn you before it comes to the off-ramp that you need to be on the inside lane, so it can take the off-ramp, and just before you meet that off-ramp it will indicate and it will pull you off. And so far so good. All this performs for me very consistently and very well. At this stage the road you've just joined starts to widen and usually turns into 2 or 3 lanes, and what the car then does is it starts to hold the middle of the widening lane, and then it decides which lane it's going to pull into. Now for me, I've seen it snap into the inside lane, so it's been consistently snapping into the inside lane. So having noticed that the lane is becoming multiple lane, it chooses a lane and snaps in. Where it's held the middle lane, it's tended to merge more smoothly, but it's already in the middle of the road, so it's got less work to do. And in some cases, it's even snaps to the outside lane. So therefore, there's a little bit of work for AP to do around how it meets those widening and those multiple lanes on the off-ramp. Something else I've noticed more often in recent releases is what I call speed matching. And this is where down a dual carriageway or a motorway, you'll be in an overtaking lane, and for some reason AP thinks the car on the inside, the car you're overtaking, is going to do something, slows the car down and matches the speed of the car on the inside lane. Now this is bad on 2 levels. One, because clearly you were in an overtaking lane and you're overtaking and that's what you want to do. And secondly, that's now slowing down and making you an obstruction for the cars behind you that then start to bunch up. If you leave it to do what it needs to do in this situation, it will often just hold that speed and therefore cause frustration for the drivers behind you. So what I tend to do in that situation is I apply some throttle to the accelerator, throttle past the inside car, and then it picks back up and it takes over as normal autopilot. But we are seeing an increase on the number of times this speed matching event occurs. I'm not sure why that's happening. I'd really appreciate it if you guys give me some feedback and let me know if you're seeing this too and whether you're seeing an increase or a decrease in this happening. But that's something I've definitely noticed more of. So as I said, and as you can see from the charts beside me, I'm using Enginerd's data to show how AP has been performing over the year. So you'll see from the data here, it goes back to the early stages of 2019 up to week 36 of the development. And for those that do know that the first number after the year is the week of that development release. So 36, so 2019.36 is week 36 of the development. So you can see from the graphs that we've seen a steady improvement in trend over the year, and then more recently we've seen a reduction in performance, at least for the tests that Enginerd is doing and what I'm experiencing. Again, please feel free to comment and let me know whether you're seeing the same thing or whether you're seeing an improvement in performance. But from Enginerd's point of view and my point of view, we're definitely seeing a decline in that. In fact, the decline is fairly steep. So as you'll see from the graphs beside me, the decline is showing both an actual performance decrease to levels below week 20, so 20.2.1 for example, and actually overall we're seeing a decline in performance, at least for 36.2.4, of a level which dips below that of 2019.8.5. So that's a significant drop in performance. Now I know that Elon himself was growing concerned about the performance of autopilot and the development rate of autopilot. So there was an article a good few months back now where he talked about taking control and direct leadership of the autopilot team and therefore finding a way to improve autopilot and to really just start to push through the progression on autopilot. Now we all know when you're developing technology, the closer you get to perfection, not that you ever quite get there, but the closer you get to perfection, the harder it becomes and the more marginal or the smaller the improvements become. And you kind of see that in the trend on the graphs. He did mention obviously that he wasn't happy with what was going on there, and what we might be seeing at the moment is potentially the bottom end of the dip in performance that he himself was referring to. So I'm hoping we'll see an improvement on 4.4, especially on 40.2.1 and beyond. But without a doubt, at least the people I talk to and my own experience suggests that we're seeing a dip in performance. So come on Tesla, come on Elon, let's start to see that in performance turn around again. We know you can do it. We know that your technology is absolutely the best out there. We know you're the market leader on every single level. So we're really looking forward to seeing some improvements. So I hope that was helpful. Like I keep saying in the video, I'd really appreciate your feedback. I'd really appreciate your comments on whether you're seeing the same as what we are seeing, whether you're seeing an improvement in performance or whatever you're seeing, or even anything else you think you'd like us to be taking a closer look at and commenting on in these videos. Let me know. I'll do my best to respond to every single comment. So that's it from this video. I hope that's been useful. Until the next time, drive safely.